The Meddlesome Meeples present the Quest Report with Matt and Richard.
Welcome to the Quest Report, where today we are going to talk about Tyrants of the Underdark, a game that we did play recently. So, do you want to give us an overview of what this is about?
Okay, so Tyrants of the Underdark is a deck building game with area control mechanics in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
You have a starting hand of nobles and soldier cards,
Which are a bit like every deck builder.
Yeah.
It's ones you can buy with, and ones you can fight with.
yeah, basically, and you use those to buy new cards from the market to augment your hand. In doing so, you can score points for the cards that you own at the end of the game, because each card has a point value. Actually, each card has 2 point values, a basic point value and one that you can get if you promote a card, which is basically
means never use it again.
Yeah, you take it out of you play a card that allows you to promote a card, which means you put this card out of play.
Yeah.
But it's worth more points to you at the end of the game. That's one way of scoring points. The other way of scoring points is through area control. So, for example, there are parts on the areas on the board which, for having full total control over, will give you victory points at the end of each of your round.
Yes.
But at the end of the game, you also score victory points for territories that you control by majority control, and then for ones that you have total control of, you gain bonus points. So there's different ways of getting points during the game,
Yeah.
and all of that is scored at the end. There's also, you get points at the end of the game for enemy troops that you've basically captured in your trophy haul.
Yeah. If you capture any, then you have them on your little character sheet, don't you?
Yeah,
So.
and you can get those through different actions by either assassinating a troop or supplanting a troop. Those are different things that you can do. So on each turn, you're going to use cards from your hand to, improve your hand, or to take control of territories, to deploy troops, to assassinate enemy troops, to place spies. It's quite interesting because you only start off with 1 troop on the board. Each player does, and then there's the like a neutral army that occupies quite a lot of territories, and they represent different denizens in different areas of the Underdark, which
all over the place.
Yeah, all of which are unaligned, and you end up supplanting or assassinating those as you go through the game. But to take control of different areas, you either have to play cards to allow you to place troops where you either already have what's called presence, which means there's either a troop there or a troop of yours adjacent to it.
Yep.
But you also have presence if you've got a spy in a place. Now, spies, you don't have to have presence where you place a spy. You can just place a spy anywhere.
I thought that bit was quite interesting, placing
Yeah.
spies. Because they were just on the corner of a box, weren't they?
Yeah, rather than actually occupying a position on the board. And they were quite interesting because it allowed you to go in different directions and play different effects on different areas. But yeah, essentially you've got these 2 elements. You're trying to build up a really good hand that's going to give you points, and you're also trying to build up areas of control that are going to give you victory points.
Yeah.
And certain ones will also give you more influence, which is what the income of the game is referred to as in this, to spend each round on other cards as well.
Yeah,
so
cards.
It's got 2 elements that I really, really like in games: area control and deck builders.
Yeah.
And those are things that you very much like as well.
Yeah.
But we kind of disagreed on the way that these came together in this game.
Yeah. Matt liked this game and I didn't, basically. So, for me though, the cards are amazing. The artwork is brilliant. The deck building aspect of it I really enjoyed. I did like that. It's just, and I normally would enjoy territory control, but just not the way it's done here, because the troops are all very similar. They're all the same, basically.
Yeah,
they're all these little
they're
shields.
just different colours, but they're the same kind of shield markers, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're tiny, and the areas that you're putting them on are just boxes, and you're just kind of filling up circles on the boxes. And to me, if they'd kept it thematic a bit more there, if they were like little pictures of towns maybe that you're putting them on or something like that, then it might have been better. And also if there were less of the soldiers but they were more powerful,
Some of the more important territories do have little pictures that go with them.
Some of them do,
but you're
yeah.
still filling up the boxes underneath, aren't you?
That's it, yeah. And to me, that was too fiddly, and a lot of the time we were just trying to fill up spaces before the others did. It seemed to be like a race, because me and Matt were actually kind of trying to block each other a bit, weren't we? On the pinch points between the boxes, we were kind of putting our own little soldiers and then assassinating them. And while we were doing this backwards and forwards, Heather filled up the top bit pretty much completely with her little guys. So that it seemed to be a race at the start, and then it just seemed to be a bit of a struggle after that. But yeah, I still really enjoyed the deck building aspect of it, because there were still cards I really wanted to get, and I kept devouring cards from the marketplace
to stop me getting them on my turn.
The really good dragon ones, yeah, that were worth like 8 influence.
You devoured a dragon.
Devoured several dragons, yeah, and then we all had to buy like smaller dragons after that.
Because you get 4 different decks in the base game, and then there's an expansion that gives you 2 extra decks as well that you can get. So altogether there's 6, and you pick 2 of these decks and you mash them up to make the market deck.
Yeah.
But then, like in many other deck building games, you've got some basic cards that are in the market from the start that are just like a stack of like advanced soldier cards and the Priestess of Lilith, which gives you more influence, and that's kind of standard across a lot of deck builder games to have some more powerful versions of your basic cards,
like the Explorers
that you can always get cheaply, you know. Yeah. So there's that. But for me, I mean, there's so many things that I really like with this game. It's not, when I say area control, it is a little bit different in the sense of you can try and take territories, but holding territories is really difficult because there are cards like Supplant, which allows an opponent to remove one of your guys and put his guys in place. I say guy, troop, and things like that. You can supplant. Some cards will allow you to supplant a troop anywhere on the board, so it's a really good way of getting a foothold, but it makes it very difficult to hold onto territories. So in some ways you're better off getting like a quick smash and grab for points, and then maybe not trying to consistently hold a territory throughout the game. And I think as well that comes through not just from that, but the fact that when you assassinate an enemy troop, or supplant an enemy troop, rather than that returning it to your enemy supply, there are cards that will say, you know, return an enemy troop or an enemy supply to its owner. But most of the time you don't. They go into your trophy hall and you get points for those at the end of the game. But that means that it's possible to lose a lot of your troops and not be able to put more troops on the board. So you can be coming to a point where you're thinking, well, I've only got 5 troops. I've got 6 territories. I can't possibly hold these 6 territories. So you've got to play with like a bit of a different mentality to a lot of area control games where it's critical that you hold on to your territories. Because at the end of the game, you don't. In most area control games, you would score points for the territories you control at the end. But
for you were racking up points. What you've got, how long you hold them.
Right. And it's quite possible. I mean, at the end of the game, there's some of the territories I scored so much more points from the end of round points that I'd built up through the game than I did for actually having that territory at the end of the game. So there is that to consider as well. I like the little spies, like we said. That makes it quite interesting because
the spy is one of the more interesting aspects of it, I thought.
Because even if you don't necessarily do something with that spy, there's a lot of cards that will give you like a bonus or something for returning one of your own spies and taking it off the board. So sometimes you're putting spies down just so you can then trigger that bonus and take them off. Sometimes even within the same round, you're doing that.
Well, basically that's the spy having done his job and completed his mission, isn't it?
And I like that. I like, I say, the different decks that come with it. I think mashing up 2 decks gives you more replayability.
Yes.
It's got just enough area control in it that I enjoy it, but as Richard says, he likes deck builders. We both like deck builders. Many of the games we play and really enjoy have deck building elements in them. So for me, this ticks all the boxes.
Well, yeah. To me, for the deck building aspect of it, like I've said, I think that works really well. You
said to me, if memory serves, when we played this actually, that you would have kind of liked the game. Or a version of this game that is just that deck building element.
I thought that at the time, but then since then I've kind of thought I think they could have just done the territory control bit a bit better. And then it would be a better game. But I would enjoy it if it was just the cards fighting the cards.
Because my thought on that was the fact that a lot of those cards are to do with the things that happen on the board, really. So I thought I would play a deck building game based on this that was purely deck building, but I'm just not sure how that would form, because you'd be missing too much of a chunk of.
Yeah, probably. But then it would be a bit similar to other deck builders that we've played. Like maybe you'd have influence that you would lose or something. I'm not trying to write another game. I'm just saying.
Or something like Star Realms, where you've got an amount of health you're trying to damage an opponent, that kind of thing.
But no.
But now we're talking about a completely different game.
Yeah. But I'm just thinking that if they just maybe put as much. Well, I can't fathom how. I don't know how much effort they put into everything. The artwork behind all the stuff that you actually do on here is really good. Yeah. It's just the I just think that the way the graphics are in front of the artwork, it just kind of takes me out of the immersion a bit.
I think I'm with you to some extent on that, because I think if you actually look at the board, the actual background artwork on the board, you've got your different palaces and everything, and different locations. There's some really beautiful artwork on the board, really nice colours, similar to Abyss, in the kind of colour scheme that it's gone for. But they all it's almost like you've got your different layers in Photoshop, and someone's had that as the base layer, and they've put these little boxes on the front. That could have been done so much nicer, as you say, if you had more little town pictures. And the thing is,
it like old and scrolly or something.
Yeah, but they've got that to some extent, because some of these locations, the more important locations like Menzo, Baranzan, and some of the others, these do have little circular pictures, which is where your little tokens go.
Yeah,
for those
the tokens
locations.
are quite good, aren't they?
They are. But it just, they could have done something nicer rather than just the little boxes with the circles.
The other board is good though, the one with the marketplace.
Yeah, the market board, that's good.
There's quite good illustrations behind them all, and there's a proper place for putting devoured cards, and it's got a picture of a monster eating an elf. That's pretty cool. But so,
you like Elf Sorrow, don't you?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, they do it so well. But another thing I'm not too keen on is victory points. And a lot of games I don't really like that. The last one we were talking about, Fate of the Elder Gods, is it? Yeah. That one had like a summoning track for it, and that's very similar to victory points, but they've actually called it something thematic. And that to me is another thing that kind of takes me out of it a little bit, because it's like you're doing all this thing, you've got these cards and they're like your generals and your troops and your soldiers, and you're deploying them and everything, and then you're doing that in order to get victory points. Then suddenly you crash back down again, and you're round a table with some people, and like you're trying to win a board game. So I just think it would only be a very small thing, but I think a lot of your games have got into the habit of having victory points, whereas I think if they just think of something more
thematic, called it
influence
points, man,
if they called it something like that, I would be happy. And that's such a tiny detail, but when you couple it with the way the artwork is,
I'm not going to lie to you, Richard. It's a bit pedantic. It is pedantic. I gave you a platform to use.
Yeah, that's it.
So.
That's it. So basically, any game that uses victory points, that will be a thing that I'm not too keen on. But I don't normally mention it because there's so many that use it, and it's only a very minor issue with me. But yeah, that is one thing. One of the most important things about a game for me is being able to kind of get a bit lost in it.
The immersion of the game.
Yeah, and I really don't mind like who wins or anything like that. I was really trying to think about it, because the last two games we've played, I've loved the one that I won, and I've hated the one that I lost. And I don't want. And I keep analysing. Is that the reason?
Yes. I've started to see a pattern here.
This is the thing. But
Richard
normally
likes games he can win.
Yeah, no. But then I've thought
in fairness,
about
though, I'd already played this before when I played against you, so.
That's
your first game of anything is always going to be a learning game. If it's the first time you play somebody and someone else knows that game and knows how to play it and knows how the tactics work, you're always going to be at a disadvantage. You always kind of expect to lose, but you should still be able to enjoy the journey.
That's it. And before I started losing at this, I didn't like the points that I don't like about it now. And thinking about it, there's a lot of other games that I always get absolutely battered on, and I still love. Like Cry Havoc. I don't think I've ever played that and not been completely trounced, but I would still love to get that out again and play it. So I don't think I'm quite.
It's not a deciding factor.
But no, I'm suspicious of myself though. So I don't know.
But to be honest, that's the main issue. I mean, I've with Dominion. I'm not a massive fan of Dominion. I can enjoy a game of Dominion, but my biggest issue with that is the fact I'm generally raising income to buy victory points.
Yeah.
And it's not just the fact that it's got victory points, it's the buying of victory points that I don't particularly like.
That is a bit of
you know,
a weird
when you look
mechanic,
at something like
yeah.
Thunderstone, for example, which is basically Dominion with a dungeon, but you've got opportunities to like explore a dungeon and you fight a monster and that monster gives you victory points. That to me makes that game stand above.
That's fine because
Dominion.
basically
So,
it's trophies, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with stuff like that, and I quite like the fact that your cards, your deck is worth points.
Yeah.
And I really like this aspect of promoting to get more points from it, because not only is it good to promote a card to get rid of your weaker cards,
Yeah.
but I like the fact that if you've got a really good card in your hand, you're kind of thinking, do I want to lose this card for the points? And you're kind of thinking, well, I really want those extra points, but I really like this card and I've just bought this card, you know. So
It's like you're promoting them to a desk job
Yeah.
where they're not going to be in the field anymore.
yeah, so that is interesting. It makes you think about this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the theme of this game. I love the artwork on this game, apart from, as we say, those little boxy towns on the map.
Yeah.
I love the way it combines two of my favourite things, area control and deck builders. I do think, as you say, they could have made the area control of it more interesting.
Yeah.
But to me, that's just almost like a sideshow to the actual deck building and the playing
Yeah.
of the cards.
Well, I think if people love this universe, then they'll love this game
Oh,
because
yeah.
the cards are so thematic, and really on that it does win really. But I do love all the artwork and everything on this game. It's just the gameplay of it.
Is this a game? I think we're saying that you wouldn't be able to recommend then.
I wouldn't recommend it, no, not personally. But just because I didn't really enjoy it, so I can't really recommend a game that I don't enjoy myself. But obviously you can. So basically, people who view games the same way as you do might like it. So yeah.
So there you go. This one, Richard isn't recommending it, but I absolutely love this game. And I'll speak to Richard privately later about the subject to try and change his mind.
Yeah, we're going to go fight in the field.
Yeah. That's fighting talk.
Is that the fight music?
Farewell, Quester. To find out about other productions by the Meddlesome Meeples, then check out our channel or rendezvous with us at meddlesomemeeples.com. Until next time, Quester, farewell and keep thine axe sharp.